All right, think you drink a lot of coffee?
Not compared to
With
this.
your coffee right here.
Right.
All right, get this. People drink an estimated 2.25 billion cups of coffee each day all around the world.
Every day. And now we're waking up to how climate change may affect that morning cup of joe, or billions of mornings of cups of joe. Meteorologist Jacob Wyckoff joining us with more on that. Jacob.
Yeah, Chris and Beth, I caught up with Dean Sycon, owner of Dean's Beans Organic Coffee in Orange. He describes himself as a social activist / lawyer / development worker / adventurer who has dedicated his life to doing social good. In the coffee world, he's doing just that.
There may not be a person more dedicated to coffee than Dean Sycon.
Today, we're in Santa Marta, Colombia, and we're sampling.
Through his company, Sycon has traveled the world, working with coffee farmers in 13 different countries. Sycon says he is seeing farmers' livelihoods affected by climate change more than ever before.
Climate change results in rising temperatures, results in changing rainfall patterns, and results in changing extreme weather events. Collectively, what they do is they change the climate or the environment for the coffee beans to grow.
A coffee tree is a fickle plant. Conditions must be just right or a harvest may be lost. For example, it needs temperatures between 64 degrees and 70 degrees in order to flower.
The change of climate now, even 2 or 3 degrees, which is what's happening everywhere, is really impacting the ability of the plant to flower. If the plant can't flower and the flower falls off prematurely, the berry doesn't evolve.
Rising temperatures and extreme rainfall have been blamed for severe outbreaks of fungal infections in Central America.
Climate change clearly contributed to the rust explosion, La Roya, this soil fungus that gets into the roots and absolutely destroys coffee trees. Throughout Central America, it's been a real problem. In Guatemala, 30% of the crop disappeared for about 5 or 6 years.
According to a report by the International Center for Tropical Agriculture, nearly 60% of the world's coffee-producing land will be unsuitable by 2050. Even with drastic cuts to greenhouse gas emissions, it's estimated that 40% of the land will be lost.
Those figures don't tell the human tale. Real farmers suffer, and real farmers have to leave their land without massive intervention, not only at the farm level, but more importantly, at the climate level. We're going to see a radically different coffee industry and a radically different coffee culture on our tables within our lifetimes.
So Sycon, through his company, decided to make a change.
In each of the villages we work in, the business model requires us to do development work and advocacy on behalf of the people in the villages. That's something that simply no other coffee company does.
A few of the projects have been forest restoration and tree planting.
If we can go in, create a nursery and plant 11,000 hardwood trees in 6 months, it makes a very big difference both in the shade for the coffee, but also the land that species will come in, like orangutan, wild elephants, tigers. It also provides a carbon sequestration, which is really important.
Sycon is committed to making a difference both here and afar.
I really believe that the world could be heaven on earth if people were more awake and people were more involved.
Helping the world one cup at a time.
And that's why we say, brew great coffee, create real change.
Now, you may be surprised to hear during our conversation with Sycon, he mentioned that one of the biggest contributors to the crisis on the southern border is climate change affecting Guatemalan coffee farmers.
Tens of thousands of Guatemalan farmers and farm workers are leaving their land, coming up against the southern border, and then the big dialogue is, how do we stop that?
Coming up at 11, Western Mass News tries to answer that very question. In the studio, meteorologist Jacob Wyckoff.